Basketball, wrestling, swimming, gymnastics, athlete of the week. It's a packed show, but we've got it all on this week's Varsity 360 right now. Hi everyone, and welcome to Varsity 360, our weekly look at the top stories in Fredericksburg area high school sports. Mark Coleman here from the mighty V2SN. Happy you found us here at flsvarsity.com and fredericksburg.com, and happy as always to be joined by part of the great team from the Freelance Stars Sports Department. This week I have the intrepid sports reporter, Mr. Nathan Warters. Nathan, first time I'm seeing you since Christmas, I guess. How you been?
Good, man. I've been in hibernation, so I'm just coming out right now.
I don't think so. I've seen an awful lot of stories that have a Nathan Warters byline. You must really, if you've been hibernating.
I wrote from my cave. So.
Okay. Well, you know, I need to get some tips from you. That's pretty impressive. Looking forward to a great show, though. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start this week with wrestling. A number of matches across the conferences, starting with Conference 4, where Colonial Forge continues to roll. They win the Conference 4 championship and earn 11 individual champions. They'll be moving on to the 6A South tournament next week. Nathan, this Colonial Forge team just continues to impress.
Yeah, it's a dynasty in every way. I mean, 15 straight conference or district championships. Justin Rice's story the other day mentioned that they have wrestlers on their team that were not born when this streak started. A few freshmen there, so just to say the least, a very impressive run, of championships for Colonial Forge.
Absolute powerhouse and a dynasty in high school wrestling right here in our area in Conference 4. In Conference 15, Mountain View also performing extremely well. Mountain View winning the Conference 15 wrestling championship. 5 champions, individual champions, I believe, that Mountain View was able to put forward in that match. Conference 22, Eastern View placed second as a team, had some impressive individual performances there as well, as did Cortland and King George. They will be meeting in the 4A North tournament, which is next weekend in Amherst. And finally, Conference 27 met, and Spotsylvania had 3 wrestlers winning individual championships, and will be going on to their regional tournament. Well, it's time now for the Varsity 360 Boys Basketball Top 5, and re-entering the Top 5 at the 5th slot, it is Chancellor. They are 14-5 on the season, a 68-51 victory over King George on Friday. Kevin Parks with 17 points in this game. Chancellor now 14-5, number 5 in the Varsity 360 Boys Top 5. Number 4 in the Varsity 360 Top 5, it is Cortland. The Cougars now 15-6 on the season. 2 big victories this past week. A 41-35 win over Spotsylvania on Friday. Daryl Gerard with 14 points in that game. Darius Carter leading the way with 17 points. Bilal Marlowe with 14 points in that game. And a clinching victory over Eastern View, 50-46. Jabari Allen and Daryl Gerard with 12 points each, and Josh Butler with 14 to give the win to Cortland. And Nathan, I believe this actually wraps up the conference.
Yeah, the Cougars clinched a first-round bye and the top seed in the upcoming tournament there. A big win for them. Eastern View was right there with them in the standings, and that ended up being a really big win for Cortland.
Yeah. So Cortland, number 4. At number 3 in the Varsity 360 Top 5 for the boys, it is Riverbend. The Bears are 13-5. They squeaked out a double overtime victory, 58-48 over Stafford on Thursday. Well, this team, the defense is the key, I believe, on this team here, but some impressive offensive performances, a number of kids that made it into double figures. Cameron Hill leading the way with 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. Bryce Webb with 14 points. Chris Terrell, with 11 points. And Micah Harris from Stafford with 12 points and 10 rebounds, the double-double in the Stafford loss. Riverbend with the 58-48 double overtime victory to go to 13-5 in the season and holding on to the number 3 spot in the Varsity 360 top 5. Number 2 in our Varsity 360 top 5 for boys basketball, it is Culpeper. The Blue Devils now 15-5 on the season. A big 91-76 victory over Liberty on Friday. Luther Gibbs with 17 points. Jeremy Robson with 16 points. Nathan, 91 points in regulation time in a boys high school basketball game. Is that a misprint?
Yeah, looking at these scores, Riverbend needs 2 overtimes to get to 58, which is that's a product of their defense, obviously. Yes. And then Culpeper's just throwing 90 and 100 up on the board. So we get all kinds of styles of basketball here in the Fredericksburg area.
Absolutely. That's getting it right there. 91 points, awfully impressive. And number 1, yet again, on the Varsity 360 boys basketball top 5, it is Colonial Forge. They have had a stranglehold on the number 1 position since we've been doing this, honestly. Forge now 18-1 on the year, a 71-35 victory over Stafford on Friday. Winston Burgess continues to do the damage for Colonial Forge, 16 points and 10 rebounds for Burgess. He's had an awfully good season so far.
Yeah, he's picked up a lot of the big numbers for them, and they've got production all the way down their roster, but he's been such a consistent force for them inside. And Forge, that Stafford took them to overtime at the beginning of the year, so to beat Stafford, double up on them, and that's 17 in a row for Colonial Forge. So they're pulling one of those long winning streaks like they did last year. So
we've seen this before, yes. Now they've got an important game coming up this week, however.
Tuesday night they play at Hilton. Both Hilton and Colonial Forge are undefeated in conference play, so that game will decide probably the regular season champion and a region berth there. So it's what happened last year, that those 2 teams were in the running, and they're there again.
Another game or 2 of importance to conference standings coming up this week as well?
Yeah, North Stafford also on Tuesday play Potomac. Both those teams are undefeated in Conference 15 play. That will decide the regular season champion or the number 1 seed. They don't get an automatic region berth in that conference, but the top seed will be decided with that game. And then you mentioned Culpeper. Culpeper's got a 1-game lead over JM right now with 3 games to go, so they're in control of their destiny as well right now. So some big games coming up for these potential champions.
Absolutely, and conference tournament play just around the corner.
Yeah.
It's getting fun. Well, that's a look at the Varsity 360 boys basketball top 5. Time now for the Varsity 360 top 5 for girls basketball. Jumping in at number 5, it is James Monroe. The Yellow Jackets now 15-2 on the season with a very impressive 57-50 victory over Caroline. Impressive performances across the board from the JM ladies. Monica Ditt with a double-double, 20 points, 15 rebounds. Shakira Austin with 11 points, 11 rebounds. Darian Holmes, 10 points and 10 rebounds. Jasmine Moore did score her 1,000th career points in this game for Caroline. JM, though, coming back and exacting revenge on this Caroline team from an earlier loss.
Yeah, James Monroe's 15-2. Both their losses were early in the year. One of them was against Caroline about a month ago. Beat them 57-50 at home. That's a big comeback win for them. And I'm looking here, they got 3 players with double-digit rebounds. They were really hitting the boards on that game there. I think that might have been one of the difference makers for Caroline in that previous game, that they were actually hitting the boards better. So a nice bounce-back win, or a nice revenge win for James Monroe.
Absolutely,
there.
Absolutely. Not only three players double-digit rebounds, they've got 3 players who were hitting double-doubles. Yeah. They also had double-digit scoring. You don't see that very often at any level. So a big win for JM over Caroline. They also had a very impressive victory, 45-16 over Manassas Park on Thursday. Coming in at number 4 in the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5, it is Colonial Forge. They are 13-5 on the season. Very impressive 72-52 victory over Stafford on Friday. Takira Brown with 32 points and 10 rebounds. That's a pretty impressive stat line right there. 32 points. That's awfully impressive. And you got to believe that she probably was not in for the entire game with that kind of score.
Yeah, 20-point win. She probably had some time on the bench there, so real impressive stats there.
Yeah. So Forge is number 4 in the Varsity 360 top 5. Number 3 in the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5, it is Colonial Beach. The Lady Drifters 17-3 on the season, 75-20 victory over Northumberland. Alexis Wilson and Sydney Carey with 14 points each. In this one, Colonial Beach continuing to roll and securing the number 3 spot in the girls basketball Varsity 360 top 5.
Showing no mercy, 55-point win there.
Number 2 in the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5, it is Mountain View. Very close 40-36 victory over Massaponax on Wednesday. Alexis Davis with 15 points. Jean Robinson from Mountain View with 14 points. Jasmine Pollock from Massaponax with 14 points as well. Mountain View retains their number 2 spot in the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5. And yet again, number 1 in the Varsity 360 top 5 for girls basketball, it is Chancellor. The Chancellor girls basketball team now 16-4 on the season, a 60-54 victory over King George this past Friday night. Jayla Harris pouring in 21 points, and Sydney Jackson with 16 points and 10 boards. Well, that combination right there is pretty close to deadly. Chancellor continues to roll.
Yeah, and those two have, they've been 1A and 1 and 1A all season. One scores 20, the other one scores 18, and it's like they kind of flip back and forth. Both of them complement each other really well, and their team is really strong from top to bottom. They run that full court. They just do a lot of things that teams can't really prepare for very well. So
the Chancellor Chargers are the girls basketball Varsity 360 top 5 number 1 position. We have a special guest joining us this week. He is the head coach for the Riverbend swim team. It is Coach Ryan Paterson. Coach, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, we are going to jump into Conference 4. You guys had a tournament meet this past week. I believe, Nathan, you were at this meet as well, and it looks like Riverbend, especially the boys, had a pretty impressive showing.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty dominant in terms of wins for Riverbend's boys. They won 7 of the 8 individual events, and then 2 of the 3 relays, and the 2 events they didn't win, they finished second in. So it was a pretty thorough win for them.
Pretty round thumping there. Riverbend boys coming in first place. Colonial Forge boys finishing 3rd, and Stafford boys in 5th place. On the girls' side, Riverbend showed pretty well as well. The Bend girls finishing 2nd. Stafford girls were 3rd, and Forge girls were 4th in that one. Let's jump back up to the boys' competition there, though. Coach, you had 4 boys in particular that really carried this team. Can you tell me a little bit about this crew?
Yeah, so they're special athletes. They're intense in sort of everything they do, and it's great to have 4 of them that can spread their talents across several different events. And so I was able to put 1 of them in each of the 8 individual events, and that really was what was the winning ticket for us.
So let's go through that real quickly. Thomas DeRocher was first in the 500 free and the 100 back. His younger brother Luke DeRocher was first in the 200 IM. Colton Messick was first in the 50 free and the 100 free, and David Piercy was first in the 200 free and the 100 butter. But that wasn't all. They also combined and won the 200 medley and the 400 free relays. Some pretty special kids here.
Yeah, they're great. They're fun to watch, and really their energy brings the whole team up at a competition. So.
Right. Some impressive performances on the girls' side too, though. You're proud of them.
Absolutely. We were 3rd and 5th boys and girls last year, and 1st and 2nd this year. And so we had a number of girls that placed 1st and 2nd in events. Reagan Horn was 1st in the 100 back, 2nd in the 100 free. Gracie Patterson in the IM. Nicole Meilenberg, Nikki Reeves, Pia Basilica, and Jenna Ross winning the 200 medley relay. So lots of great swims.
Impressive performance for the Riverbend Swim Club there. Moving on to Conference 22, King George also had a pretty impressive performance. The boys and girls sweeping the conference tournament. I believe this is the 2nd year in a row that they've done this. Some impressive individual performances from this one as well. Ricardo Bonilla Vasquez from King George winning the 200 free and the 100 butterfly. Jonathan Pins from Cortland with the 50 free and the 100 breaststroke. Nick Ashton from Cortland with the 500 free and the 100 backstroke. Emily Sizemore from King George with the 200 IM and 100 back victories. And Annie Boone from Eastern View winning the 200 free and the 100 butter. Coach, it's pretty impressive to see a kid winning 2 individual events at any one match, is it not?
It is.
Awfully straining.
It is. There's a lot of really good swimmers in this area. There's a lot of really good programs that train elite athletes here. And so for a kid to come into any one of these conference meets and walk away with 2 victories is impressive.
Yeah. Let's take a look now at the 3A East Championship. James Monroe boys finishing second in this one. A very impressive performance from them. Brad Allison with a first place victory in the 200 yard free, and third place in the 100 free. Impressive performance there again from Brad Allison. We've heard his name a number of times. The James Monroe girls finishing 5th, and Culpeper boys 12th, and Culpeper girls 13th in the 3A East Swimming Championships. Moving now to the 5A North, there was a swimming region meet held this past week. The North Stafford boys performing quite well, finishing 3rd in their region. Ryan Schmitz from North Stafford performing exceptionally well. He wins the 50 free championship at the 5A North region meet, also finishing 3rd in the 100 free, and he was 2nd in both the 200 and 400 free relays. Very impressive performance from that Wolverine. Annalie Johnson from Mountain View winning the 100 breast championship, also finishing 4th in the 200 free, and was 2nd on their 200 medley relay and 3rd on the Mountain View 400 free relay. Caroline Wayner from Brook Point, 200 IM champion, and also finishing 2nd in the 500 free. All of these folks will be advancing to the 5A state meet to be held on February 21st in Richmond. Impressive performance from all those 5A North swimmers. Time now for the Varsity 360 Athlete of the Week. It comes from the swimming ranks, and it is Ryan Schmitz from North Stafford. The junior won the 50 free championship at the 5A North meet just this past week, also finishing 3rd in the 100 free and participating, getting 2nd place on 2 freestyle relays, setting school records along the way, by the way. Ryan Schmitz, our Varsity 360 Athlete of the Week. I understand this kid also performs on another varsity sport during the winter.
Yeah, he's a pole vaulter for the track team, so and I hear he's pretty good at that as well. So that's a pretty remarkable thing for him to be competing on 2 teams during the winter season. 2 varsity
teams simultaneously. I'm not sure that it's all that rare, but it certainly isn't very common either. And to be performing at a high level like that, awfully impressive. So congratulations to Ryan Schmitz, the Varsity 360 Athlete of the Week. Time now for our Coaches Spotlight. Very happy to be joined this week by Riverbend swimming coach Ryan Paterson. Coach, again, thanks so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's great to be here talking about swimming.
Understand, though, that your route to becoming the Riverbend head coach for the swim team isn't exactly very typical. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
No, it's not. I like to call myself the parent draftee. I'm actually a competitive wrestler all through Virginia wrestling, wrestled at Virginia Tech, and we ended up in a place at the high school where the coach from last year decided sort of at the last minute that she didn't want to come back. And all hands went loose trying to find a coach. And I've been involved with year-round swimming as an official and a dryland coach, the part of the coaching out of the water, for several years. And somebody just too many fingers were pointing at me. And before I knew it, I was the head coach of Riverbend Swimming.
The Stuckey, but you've got a pretty impressive team that you get to lead.
It is an impressive team. We're blessed to have swimmers that are feeding in from highly competitive year-round groups, and we complement that with some kids that are phenomenal athletes that are not year-round swimmers. And one of the goals I set early this year was to maximize the number of points that I was able to achieve by those non-year-round swimmers, and we ended up at the end of the year with half of our top scorers being non-year-round kids, and some really impressive performances by all of them.
I think what a lot of people in swimming, you think about the club swimmers, the really exceptional swimmers that move on to the high school season, they do well, but a lot of people really forget about the camaraderie of the team, coming together, rooting for each other. I mean, you guys really are a team. I mean, Reagan Horn, one of your girls swimmers, was telling me about how the boys and the girls kind of come together, challenge each other. I mean, can you tell me about the team element of what you guys are doing?
Absolutely. This was an interesting discovery for me as an official. So I'd been officiating year-round swimming for a lot of years, and then I ended up as an official down on the deck at the Independent Schools, Virginia Independent School State Championship. And it was a meet where the top 3 teams in the very last event, the boys 400 freestyle relay, were swimming for the state championship. Those 3 teams in the middle lanes, whoever won that event was going to be the state champion that year. And I've never experienced in a swimming pool the level of sound and noise from all of these fans and all of the kids and everybody cheering for one another. And it was really neat to come back this year now and as a head coach for a high school team to see these kids get past the fact that, hey, I'm an individual swimmer and this is my individual event, and try to figure out the best way that they can arrange themselves for individual events and relays to best maximize the point winning that we can have as a team, and to put forward the strongest performance that we could.
This team looks pretty strong. You did exceptionally well in the Conference 4 meet. You've got 6A South tournament coming up, I believe, this
Saturday.
weekend.
Yep.
Things setting up fairly well there for you for that?
They are. You know, I changed my strategy a little bit for the conference. We really thought we had a strong chance of winning, and so I asked the kids to trust me and let me place them where I needed them to be. And in this week, as we go into regions and states, you know, we sort of flipped that on its head. So where do you need to be to achieve the best season for you as an individual? And so we've sort of left some of that behind, and we're set up though to win and place strong in a couple of events. But I will have some of my swimmers, 3 of the boys all chose to swim the 100 backstroke at regions. So we might have a finals with 3 Riverbend boys in the 100 backstroke, and that'll be awfully fun.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the worst thing ever.
It would not.
As good as, I'm sorry, did you, as good as this team is, it sounds like things are going to be even better next year, though. This is a young club, and you've got some rising kids that are going to be adding to it as well.
Yeah, we sure do. There's you know, a large majority of our big scorers are freshmen and sophomore. And so of the 25 top scorers that we have across the team, we're only losing 5 seniors this year. And so we've got a strong bench returning, and then we've got a huge group of freshmen coming in next year that are going to make the team, that are going to provide some depth and breadth to us. And we lost this year, our boys did, to North Stafford. It was the one loss that the boys had. And while we won 7 of the 8 events and won 2 of the 3 relays, we still lost the event, and it was because we didn't have some of the depth that we need to as a team, score those kind of points. And I think we'll round some of that out at next year.
Yeah, so it's not just the top swimmers at the team award level. You've got to have depth in a number of kids that are contributing points there.
You do, and I try to convince the kids all year that, you know, some of these kids, you know, the DeRocher brothers and David Piercy and Colton Messick, who you profiled earlier, win a lot. But if we don't have the kids behind them, you know, the first place winner will always lose to the second, third, fourth place kids, right? So that they'll win the event, but we'll lose as a team on that event without that depth to the lineup.
So a couple of months after, maybe 6 months or so, when did you take the job?
It was weeks before the season started. So
okay.
The season starts in early November, and on October 19th, I went to Riverbend High School to actually meet the principal and the athletic director.
So 5 months or so after making that decision, give or take.
Yeah.
Feel like it was a good decision? You happy you did it?
Well, you know, I found myself way back in college thinking I was going to be a high school math teacher and a wrestling coach. So the coaching has been something that's been missing. I will tell you, and I have a new respect for high school coaches and coaches of all levels because the amount of time that I put forward to this team was way more than I thought I was going to, but a great decision. I love the kids, and I had a great time working with them, and I'm looking forward to coming back as their coach next year.
I guess once a competitor, always a competitor, whether it's wrestling or swimming, you still have that, you still get that rush every meet, I guess?
Every single meet. Every single meet, screaming like a crazy man on the sidelines and we're on the pool deck, so yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, Coach, again, certainly appreciate your time. Congratulations again on an outstanding performance in the Conference 4 meet. Good luck in regions and there beyond. Hopefully we're going to be seeing some state champions here pretty soon.
I think you may see some state champions this year out of Riverbend. So
that would be awfully impressive. Certainly looking forward to that. Well, again,
thank you, gentlemen.
Coach, yeah,
I appreciate your time. All right.
Coach Ryan Paterson from Riverbend Swimming. Taking a look now at Gymnastics. Conference 4 had a meet this past week. Big matchup, Stafford and Colonial Forge. Very close competition here. Stafford coming away with the team championship. Colonial Forge a close second. The individual awards were pretty well distributed as well. Jenna Chang from Stafford winning the bars, Jessie Addo from Colonial Forge winning the beam, Naomi Jones from Stafford winning the floor, Jessie Addo from Forge winning the vault, and because of that, Jessie Addo from Colonial Forge also won the all-around for the Conference 4 championship. All these girls will be moving on to the 6A South Regional Meet, which is actually going on tonight as we record this. That is at Western Branch High School. Conference 15 also had a meet, Mountain View, with an impressive victory in this one. Team event award, Emily Brutsky from Mountain View, last year's all-around area, all-area gymnast for the Freelance Star, winning the bars and vault events and also the all-around competition. Emily Brutsky from Mountain View. That's going to do it for this week's installment of Varsity 360, a packed show this week. Certainly hope you've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed the time, particularly from my good friend from the Freelance Star, Mr. Nathan Warters. Nathan, it's always a blast, man.
Yeah, man, I had fun. Thanks.
Yeah. Also want to say thanks to Coach Ryan Paterson from Riverbend High School Swimming. Appreciate his time. And certainly appreciate your time. Hope that you enjoy watching Varsity 360 and hope that you are able to go out this week and catch some great local high school sports action. Come back next week as we will recap next week's top stories right here on Varsity 360. For the good folks from the Virginia Varsity Sports Network, the mighty V2SN, my name is Mark Coleman. Thanks for watching, everyone.